Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Answering viewer questions, and this one's from RealGilmoreGirl asking, the Supreme Court just voted against allowing the Navajo Nation from being able to sue the federal government for access to water. It is bad here on tribal lands. Tribal people have to drive to towns to stock up on water, but it is the Navajos in Arizona and New Mexico who have it the worst. Will anything change? Okay. So I just went ahead and read up on that story, and what an embarrassment. I mean, honest to God. This was a 5-4 Supreme Court decision not to hear this case or to go with it, with Gorsuch going with the 3 liberal judges. Basically, the dispute in question is, does the government have a legal duty that the tribe can enforce in court? And the issue at hand is the tribe signed a treaty with the federal government in 1868 and argued that under agreements with the federal government, it was assured that they would have access to land, and it was assumed that the government also had a duty to ensure it had the necessary water. And the tribe is arguing that it's not seeking a decision on the water rights to the lower Colorado River specifically. Instead, he wants the federal government's oversight on the entire Colorado River, as well as duties to its tribe, meant that it would be required, the government would be required to do a full assessment of the Navajo Nation's water rights, which may affect how water from the Colorado River is allocated. Now, fighting against this are states like Arizona and Nevada and Colorado, which border on the Colorado River, as well as several districts in California. It would seem to me that if you're going to force the Native American tribes into reservations, they should have adequate resources to survive on those reservations at a minimum. And they should have enough resources to thrive on those lands. But that's me. Where this is embarrassing is that here we are in 2023 bitching and arguing about this. Now, mind you, water in the West, it's more valuable than gold. It truly is. And water rights are one of the most valuable things you can have out here. But how about some compassion for people? This, it's just, Native Americans being screwed over again by the U.S. government almost 200 years past the last treaty. Lovely, 150 plus years. Embarrassment. Okay, so, entertainment purposes only, right? Okay, so what's going to happen? What's going to happen out of this decision? Now, the Navajo Nation does have the ability to reopen some litigation over Colorado River rights on a motion filed before, but what's going to happen out of this? Spirit, what can you tell me about this situation? Well, things are being revealed. The states feel that they're more important than the Navajo Nation. Now, I understand the states wanting the water too, but frankly, this is a treaty. Treaty takes precedent over U.S. law, and this treaty has been in place a long time, followed by the magician. And the magician is manifestation, 2 major arcana here. This could also be seeking a solution. Maybe there is a solution that hasn't been fully brought to light yet. But right now, it would seem like this treaty that was signed in good faith was really an illusion. And that's not justice. It truly is not justice. In the past, Queen of Wands, I think of this as being kind of the Navajo Nation trying to look for action for the federal government. They're looking for ways to secure their rights for their people to survive and thrive on the reservation. They've gone to the courts. They've gone to the courts and haven't found satisfaction there. Also notice the land here looks very deserty as they're exploring. They're going forward with new messages. They might be able. What it might be is that the Navajo Nation might need to find new allies, allies that can help manifest what's going on here. So I think the Navajo Nation kind of needs to change tact here. Going through the legal system doesn't seem to be working. They need a new message, a new way of doing things. That this help could come from overseas, or it might be something they need to do sooner rather than later, because there is a water crisis going on. You can also see in this card the green land plus the river running through it. So, again, there's your Colorado River, and if you've got water, you're green, and if you don't, you're sand. So they need to move quickly on this. Maybe international help, which I'll touch on in a second. Or maybe I'll just touch on now. It is interesting that Saudi Arabia is buying up all this land and water rights and then growing hay on it. Can you imagine the Navajo Nation working with the Saudis to buy up land and getting the water rights to help the Native American people? That is, oh God, that is such a layered, outrageous thing to have happen. But maybe the Native Americans need to make treaties with the Saudis in order to get the United States to treat them with any form of respect. And there's your overseas card. There's your overseas card. They might do it. Or they might actually take a page out of the Saudis' book and start pooling their money together to start buying land and getting those water rights to help their people out. It's a new way of doing things, manifesting it, finding a new way to do it. Outcome, well, it's going to cause some problems. There's a lot of juggling going on, again, with water and those water rights. You could force the U.S. government to revisit this. And how do you make sure that the Navajo people have enough water to thrive, yet keep the states going and thriving too? The U.S. government is going to need to step in on this one. There's no two ways about it. Water is a precious resource. There's been huge droughts out in that area and all sorts of building and stuff like that in the deserts. We're in a crossroads here. Somebody needs to make a choice. It really would be best if the federal government stepped up. It would really, really serve their interests well, because all the states are going to fight for their own best interests. And the government's the only one who would be a somewhat disinterested third party in an ideal world where there isn't corruption. Okay. Will the Navajo people get their water? Will they find satisfaction? Or do we have to just wait for a Supreme Court that's got more liberal judges than conservative judges on it? Because end of the day, this is not compassion for another human being, or a group of human beings in this case, who you can make the argument have way more claim to the resources here than the conquering colonials. Okay. Will the Navajo people get some type of resolution to their satisfaction? Still like the idea that they hook up with the Saudi Arabians and just start buying the land with the water rights on it. Will they get it? Okay, tough decisions need to be made. Feeling hostage again. You got water in there, more water. And there's your treaty back there. They need to make some tough... They need to play hardball. Tough choices and play hardball. They're holding... I think the Native American population is very good at being stoic and keeping their feelings in. They might need to start getting passionate about this. Don't be a victim on this. Don't be a willing victim on this as your water dries up. Stand up for yourself and be heard. This treaty in the past, it looked nice, but it's not being honored. It's not being honored in a way of integrity at all. And so you're going to have to come in and appeal to people's kindness and show the wisdom of the decisions you're making. It's basically show that what you're dealing with right now is an injustice. Because that's what this is. This is a complete injustice. And, you've got to hammer that point home. I would not be surprised if we see more protests coming on. Kind of like, the Keystone Pipeline, where the Navajo people now start protesting things to get visibility to this cause. So that more and more people are understanding of it, and it appeals to people's sense of justice and right and wrong. I wish them luck. If worse comes to worse, they're going to have to wait for a more balanced Supreme Court that is more interested in accountability and integrity and holding up the spirit of the law. You signed a treaty, it would imply that if they have access to land, they should have access to the water that goes with it. Not 100% access, but something in a balance in there that allows them to survive and thrive. Okay, we'll see how that works out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel.